today I caught another squirrel, and so I'll be taking that to a big park where there's lots of food. And you're a noisy little guy, aren't you? Yeah, you're big. You must have been the daddy of the baby I took yesterday. Yeah? Really noisy. So they what they do is they'll destroy my garden. They literally decimate it. There's thousands of holes. I try to plant a new garden. They'll just dig it all. They always just dig it all up. So I have to call them from time to time when there's too many back there. They dig up all my new plants. I have to put screens and all kinds of protective measures to, keep them from destroying my garden, especially my starter stuff. And so, yeah. And so what I do is I take that cage, and I take it to the back, and I put it underneath a shelter up there, underneath that shed there, and it keeps it out of the rain. So when they get trapped and I don't get to it right away, at least they're out of the bad weather conditions. And I also was building some beehives parts. This is a screen. It's called a divider board, screen bottom board divider. So when the mites fall off the bees, they'll, instead of getting right back up, they'll fall on the bottom board. The bees are crawling around down here, coming in and out. They fall off a bee somewhere up from the hive, and then they crawl right back on a bee, and they just keep it infected. So what I did is I came up with this bottom board divider screen. What happens is the bees, so this hive goes on top of this, and I'll put some 3/4 inch here so that there's a gap here, right? So it's 3/4, and there'll be a gap here, and so the bees can come in and out here. And so when the Varroa mites fall off the bees all up into the hive there, they actually fall right through this screen. And I have a slide-in panel that I built that I just slide in and out, and I put some tacky liquid detergent on there, a thin layer of that, so when the mites fall off, they get stuck to that tacky Dawn soap. And so when I take the slider out, there's sometimes hundreds of Varroa mites on there stuck to it. And so this is a really good way of help keeping the Varroa mite population down, so your beehive doesn't die, because it killed both of my hives last year. Anywho, so there's some beehives that I threw together, just some scrap wood. As you can tell, scrap wood. Bees don't care. They don't know about Nike high quality. Now, those are just temporary nukes that just when I start doing bee splits, then what will happen is they'll go into there when I start making the queens. And those are the hives that I built. Just some scrap wood around. I mean, it's amazing what you can actually make hives out of. They can be made out of almost anything. It's just your imagination is a limitation. So, yeah, this is all scrap wood. Yeah, scrap wood. Scrap wood. I made my frames, it's just scrap wood. I keep a lot of scrap wood. And so, there you go. Today's adventure, well, for the moment anyway, it's going to the park to take this little guy, who's so noisy, you're really noisy, to the park. Yeah, you're going, I'm taking you. All right, you're going to be free in a minute. We're going here in just a minute. Okay, well, that's today's trip. It's really cloudy, been really heavy rain now and then, and that is today's adventure. To the park with a squirrel. So much fun. I've taken hundreds. Since I've lived here, since '98, I've taken hundreds of squirrels to the park. Yeah. Destroyers of garden. All right, well, you have a nice day. Bye-bye now. So what I got here is a beehive that I'm building a bottom screen board. So this is the beginning process here. By the way, my name is Jim. Howdy. It's a rainy day in the neighborhood, a rainy day in the neighbor. Okay, so here's my process of making a bottom screen board for Varroa mite control. This it was amazing. When I designed this and put it in, I really didn't think I had a Varroa Mite problem. And and so I slid my first panel out and I seen hundreds, well, I wouldn't say hundreds, but probably around 100 Varroa Mite that had died on my panel. So I thought, oh, well, I'm in trouble because my hive looked pretty healthy. So I came up with this design. So I've got 1/8 screen. I cut it to size. I cut it a little oversized, and then I construct this thing here. It's a board. So I got it. It doesn't the bottom the board that the screen's going to be attached to. It doesn't have to be, as long as you got like a 1/2 inch or right around there. It doesn't matter, because all you want is you want just enough room to slide your thin panel underneath there, right? So this will be your screen will be tacked up to on here. So you have your screen tacked there, and then you'll have that gap here, and then you just want to be able to slide your slider board underneath there to catch the mites. So this doesn't need to be 3/4, right around 1/2 inch, because you're not going to set a hive on this. This is just to attach your screen board to. It's just for attaching, this. What I use is just a staple gun. So I put my screen board on there. Right now I got it gluing. I just put my screen board on there and just tack around, staple around there. And right now I've got it gluing. I'm just gluing it for now. And once that's sturdy enough, I just lay my screen board on top and tack my screen board on there, and that's going to keep it pretty sturdy. Sometimes I'll take my air gun and just kind of tack the corners. Just put a tack on each corner, just to reinforce it. But once you get the screen tacked in there, and then it's pretty sturdy. And then what you do is you take another 3/4 inch. Now this is when you're going to want 3/4 inch. And once you got your screen on, you'll put your 3/4, right, 3/4 by 3/4 on top of that, right, on top of your screen, right on top of your screen. You put a little bit of glue, right, and then you'll glue that on there with some clamps, and then you're all set with the top, because that 3/4 on top, that's where you're going to set your hive. You're going to set your hive on that, and you want your bees to be able to come in through that 3/4 inch escape route, right, entrance. So, and then on the bottom, there's a number of things you can do. You can actually put just put it right directly onto a piece of wood. Like, you can set it anywhere. Just set it on something. But you're going to need to put like a bottom, right? Something on the bottom, right? So that you can slide your panel in and out. Because right now there's no depth for you to slide your panel in and out. So you need that depth to be able to slide your panel in and out. So what I did is I just took some. It doesn't have to be 3/4 inch, right? Just something thick enough, right? I think this is 1/2 inch or something less. Maybe it might even be 3/8. Just something close enough to be able to slide. Now you can use cardboard as your panel to slide in and out. Whatever you come up with. And so, but the thing about cardboard, remember, is that cardboard, it'll get soaked with honey, because those bees can be pretty messy in there. When I slid my first panel out, I thought, what's going on? There's a lot of honey on this panel. And so, because they don't think about it when they're up there, storing honey in their cells, and it dribbles around everywhere out of their cells, and before they get to clean it up, because it always gets cleaned up in the bottom of the hive, so they don't even think about it. But with the way I got designed, that honey goes right, that honey doesn't go to the bottom of the board where the next bee coming around can pick it up and eat it. It goes through the screen, and no bee can get to it. So what I use is my panel board. I got sheets of this. It's really, really durable. And I also use it to protect the tops of my hives. And so you've got your 3/4 on the top once you got your screen on. You're going to have something 3/8 to a 1/2 inch, whatever is the size of wood. It could even be 3/4, or any depth you want really. It's good for venting in the summertime too. When it gets really hot, you can take off whatever bottom you've got these setting on, and just let it vent out naturally. It helps cool the hive in the hot summer. So this is kind of the end product that I built here. So what I got here is the end game. This is all just scrap wood, right? Just scrap wood. So here would be my entrance, right? I got a 3/8 gap there for my bees to come in and out. And on the back, what I've done is I've got another gap in the back, and in the back I got that little gap there, right? Little gap, and so that would be the space where I slide my panel in for the Varroa mites to fall on. Instead of crawling right back up on the bees, I put tacky liquid. I put a little bit of liquid soap, not much, just enough I brush it around. So when they're crawling around, they're gonna kind of get stuck in the liquid soap, and then the soap actually will kill them once they get into it. And then to keep my bees from going in, I just get a slider piece of wood, and I just slide it in there. And you can put like a tack on each corner, so you can just pull it in and out with ease. That just keeps your bees from getting in there and getting reinfected with the hives, with the Varroa mites that have already fallen down there. And I use this this is my little pointer. I use this to go in to just to get glue tight into my cracks, clean it up, work that glue in there. And yeah, it works really good. See, sticks really well. And so, and there you go for your Varroa mite control screen board. It works really well. Then you just put your hive right on top of that puppy, right? Your hive just goes right on top, right? So say that this is going to be, the bees are going to be coming out the front. Yeah, the bees are coming out the front. Let me just do this, put this together here. The bees are coming out the front, and I've got my hive on there. We'll just sit you down here for a second. I got my hive on there, like that. And I am setting that on top of wherever I want, right? Whatever platform that I want to set that on. And voila. you've got your divider board, and the Varroa mites just fall right on through. And in the summertime, you just kind of put some sticks or something across the platform, and you open that up, and it helps a lot in keeping that hive cooled down. And the Varroa mites at that point will just drop straight to the ground, and they're not going to be able to climb back up into the hive, especially the way I got mine designed out there. So there you go, Varroa mite control screen board. And you can also use it as a divider board, so when you want to combine two hives, you can do a double screen. So you put a screen on top of that frame and a screen on the bottom, and you can put that on top of one hive, and you can grab your other hive. Say it's queenless, right? It's dying. You can put that on the other one, let that set for 4 days, 5 days. They'll get to know each other, and so then you just take that screen board out and put those bees to work instead of having them just die out. So there you go. And so here's the back. So you would have you'd slide your panel or cardboard, whatever you want to use, whatever you got. You slide that in there on a flat surface, and then you just slide this in there like that to keep your bees from getting in there and getting reinfected. And you got a sealed unit there. Pretty cool. I didn't even know I had a real serious Varroa mite problem until I came up with this design, because I wanted to say, instead of killing 300 bees every so often, there's a better way. So this is what I come up with, and I don't have to kill any of my bees. I can just pull the panel. I see any Varroa mites, I treat. I just treat. So, and I'm going to be treating my bees until I see no Varroa mites. And I use AppyGuard. and it stays in there for about 6 weeks. So anyway, that is my personal method that I came up with to control these fallacious. They are fallacious. Those Varroa mites, they'll just take your hive out. I lost 2 hives last year. That was the only hives I had, and they took them both out. So I got kind of desperate, you know. So there you go. Well, you have a nice day. I hope maybe you picked up on something. Now it's really about you being the engineer, right? You being the creator, the artist. Just think about the concept, because everything is about concept. Then it's about somebody just saying, "Oh, I'm going to do it this way," and then they put it online, and we folks were going, "Oh, I got to do it in this dimension and that dimension." Not really. You know, this is all dimps. This is something, you know, I do myself. Dimps is do it my frickin' self. So this is, I got scrap wood, and I just use my scrap wood. I just, you know, what sizes do I have? What dimensions do I have? And I incorporate that into the concept, and then I build accordingly based on the scraps that I have laying around. Because I've had a lot of projects in the past, and I just kept all that scrap wood. And I started bees last year, and that's what I'm building all my hives with. Is all that over there. Those hives are from last year's that I built just from scrap wood. Well, actually thousands of dollars, because I also build my own frames. So this is also from just scrap wood. You know, the frames that I built. All these frames are, you know, just, well, that one's actually the original one. Oh, this is the super, but underneath the super there, I got frames. All of them I built just like my little nuke boxes. You know, these are all nuke boxes that I built, and so you know, they're 2 framers. I built the frames. I've already had bees, you know, working on them in the past. And I just put that lid on there, and I'll take a tarp like this and put on the top, prevent it from rain from getting in there, and voila! Just all this is from scrap wood. There's no wood or anything that I'm using that I bought except for the screen. I bought a big old roll, 100-foot roll of that screen. A lot cheaper to do it that way than to buy sections, and that's about all that I've bought. I think. Oh, some staples for the air gun. I had to buy the staples, and I had to buy the staples for the staple gun. Other than that, all I bought was just the initial beehive. The super and the brood box, I bought those. So I use those as a template along with the original frames that came with them. I use those as a template even now so that everything fits together as I build my hives, to keep everything the same dimension. So everything, I can stack one hive box onto another hive box, or one brood onto a super. So anyway, there you go. I hope you picked up something that can help you out in managing these doggone Varroa mites. Oh my gosh, they're as bad as squirrels. Had to take another squirrel today. They destroy my garden. Anyway, you have a nice day. Bye-bye.